This story is titled, My Wife Has Already Told Me 100 Times About Open Relationship. And when I agreed for the 101st time, she immediately regretted it. Because the first woman I fucked was her own best friend. Hi everyone, I never thought I'd be posting about relationship issues on here. But I really need to get this off my chest and maybe get some advice from people who aren't involved in the situation. I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I've been with my girlfriend Jessica, who's 30, for 3 years now. We've been living together for the past 2, and until recently, everything was going great between us. Things were actually going so well that I had been secretly checking out engagement rings during my lunch breaks. That's how confident I was in our relationship. We met through mutual friends at a board game night. Nothing extraordinary about our origin story. She laughed at all my dumb jokes, and I was drawn to how fiercely competitive she got when we played Catan. We just clicked in a way I hadn't experienced before, and we started dating almost immediately after that night. After dating for a year, we decided to move in together. It made perfect sense since we were constantly at each other's places anyway. We quickly settled into comfortable routines together, making waffles every Tuesday morning, taking walks in the park after work, and spending evenings with her watching those terrible reality shows she loves while I played games on my phone. Just normal couple stuff that made me feel like I had found my place in the world. Jessica works in advertising and I'm an architectural designer. We both have stable careers with decent incomes. We've built a good social circle together, and our families get along wonderfully. My mom absolutely adores her, and her dad always invites me over to watch basketball games. We were that couple that other people would point to and say gave them hope for their own relationships. Yeah, I know how that sounds now, looking back. Everything was perfectly normal until last Thursday. We were having dinner at home, and Jessica was telling me about some project she was working on at her agency. I was about halfway through my sandwich when she casually said, "Hey, what would you think about trying an open relationship?" I literally froze mid-bite, my fork suspended halfway to my mouth, thinking maybe I had misheard her. But no. She continued talking about how she'd been reading about open relationships online, how lots of couples were trying it these days, and how it could supposedly help us grow individually and make our relationship stronger in the long run. Is there someone specific you want to date? I asked, because honestly, that was my first thought. Who brings up open relationships out of nowhere unless they've already got someone in mind? Jessica immediately got defensive. No, it's not about anyone else, she insisted. I just think it would be good for us to explore ourselves more. We're still young, and I don't want us to wake up in 10 years wondering what we missed out on. I sat there trying to process what was happening. This was the same woman who once got upset because a waitress smiled at me a little too much. And now she was talking about dating other people like she was suggesting we try a new restaurant for dinner. Have you been feeling unhappy with our relationship? I asked, wondering if I had somehow missed some warning signs that things weren't as perfect as I thought. Not at all, she said, reaching across the table to take my hand. I love you, I love us. This isn't about being unhappy. It's about making our relationship even better. Think about it. We could both have new experiences, but still come home to each other. Lots of couples say it makes their connection stronger. I didn't know what to say. My brain seemed to stall somewhere between confusion and panic. My appetite had completely disappeared, and the food in front of me might as well have been cardboard. Jessica, on the other hand, was animated and practically glowing as she talked, going on about boundaries, rules, and communication. But all I could think was, where is this coming from? And yet, and this probably makes me sound like a complete pushover, I said okay. Not because I wanted to try an open relationship, not because I believed it would make us stronger, but because the sheer eagerness in her eyes and the way she leaned forward, practically pleading for me to be on board, made it clear she had already made up her mind. Saying no felt like shutting a door that she had no intention of closing. Are you sure you're okay with this? She asked, with what appeared to be genuine concern. We don't have to if you're not comfortable. I looked at her, at how desperate she seemed for me to agree, and somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew this wasn't really a choice. Whether I liked it or not, something was already shifting between us. And if I wanted to figure out what was really going on, I had to play along. No, it's fine, I said, forcing myself to nod. If you think it'll be good for us, we can try it. And just like that, I stepped into something I didn't believe in, knowing deep down I was already losing her. Jessica got all excited after I agreed, immediately launching into how we should set up dating app profiles together and discussing a system for letting each other know when we had dates planned. It was clear she had already thought about all these details extensively. Meanwhile, I sat there wondering how long she'd been planning this whole thing. The rest of that night was weird. We watched TV like we normally would, but my mind was racing the entire time. Jessica was cuddled up next to me on the couch, acting like everything was perfectly fine, as if she hadn't just suggested completely changing the foundation of our relationship. Several times I wanted to take it back, to tell her I wasn't actually okay with this arrangement, but I didn't know how to bring it up. Every time I glanced over and saw her scrolling through her phone with this little smile on her face, I felt more and more certain that I had just made a huge mistake. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't sleep at all. Jessica was out cold next to me, peaceful as could be, while I stared at the ceiling, wondering what the hell I'd gotten myself into. Part of me wanted to wake her up and tell her no, that I didn't want to share her with anyone else. But another part of me was scared. Scared that if I said no, she'd do it anyway, or worse, just leave me for someone else. So I just lay there, running through every conversation we'd had recently, trying to figure out if there were signs I had missed. Was she bored with me? Was I not enough for her? Was there already someone else she had her eye on? The questions kept multiplying, and I had answers for none of them. Little did I know this was just the beginning of how messed up things were about to get. Things started changing the very next day. Jessica spent the entire evening setting up her Tinder and Bumble profiles, even asking me to help pick photos for her to use. Like this was some totally normal thing for a boyfriend to do. She even asked me to take new pictures of her specifically for these profiles. Yes, seriously. I played along, taking photos of my girlfriend so she could look good for other guys. I tried setting up my own profile too, just to show I was making an effort, but my heart wasn't in it. Every time I tried writing a bio, it felt weird and fake. What was I supposed to write? In a relationship but looking for fun? The whole thing made me feel gross and dishonest. I think that Jessica knew from the start that I wouldn't actually meet with anyone. I'm not particularly social, and I don't have the time or energy to meet new people. Something I've told her about numerous times before. Looking back, I believe she thought she could go on all these dates while keeping me as a reliable backup plan. Jessica got matches right away, which wasn't surprising since she's gorgeous and fun to be around. But what really got to me was how quickly she started meeting these guys in person. Within a week, she had 3 dates lined up. 3! She'd show me their profiles like we were gossiping about celebrity crushes or something. "Look at this one," she'd say, shoving her phone in my face. "He's a personal trainer at that fancy gym downtown. We're getting coffee tomorrow." And I would just nod and try to act like this was totally cool and normal, like my stomach wasn't twisting into knots. The first time she got ready for a date, I felt physically sick. She wore this black dress I'd never seen before. Yes, she bought new clothes specifically for these dates, and spent over an hour doing her makeup. When she walked out of our bedroom, she did this little twirl and asked, "How do I look?" She was practically glowing with excitement, and all I could manage to say was, "Great," while thinking about how that dress probably cost more than what she usually spends on our date nights together. She came home late that night, all giggly and happy. I pretended to be asleep when she got into bed, but I heard her texting someone for at least an hour afterward. The next morning she was humming while making coffee, acting like everything in her world was perfect. I started paying close attention to her dating schedule. Monday was coffee with the gym guy, Wednesday was dinner with some lawyer dude, and Friday was drinks with a guy who owned a food truck. The range was interesting, to say the least. Each time she'd come home looking like she'd had the time of her life. I started checking the location she was tagging on Instagram. Not my proudest moment, I know, but I needed to know what was really going on. One night, I actually drove by the restaurant where she said she was having dinner. I saw her sitting at the bar with some tall guy in a suit, laughing at whatever he was saying. She had her hand on his arm, looking at him the way she used to look at me. That image burned itself into my brain. The worst part wasn't even seeing her with these guys. It was how she changed when she was at home. She started spending way less time with me. No more cuddles on the couch, she was always texting someone else, and our Tuesday waffle tradition was completely forgotten because she was suddenly meeting the girls for brunch. I tried talking to her about it once. "Don't you think you're going on a lot of dates?" I asked, trying to sound casual and not accusatory. She looked at me like I was being ridiculous. "That's the whole point of an open relationship, isn't it?" she replied. "To meet new people and have experiences. You should try it too. I can help you with your profile if you want." But I didn't want help with my profile. I wanted my girlfriend back. I wanted the person who used to get excited about ordering pizza and watching bad movies with me. Not this new version who was always dressed up and heading out the door to meet someone else. One night she was getting ready for yet another date. Guy number 6 or 7, I'd lost count by then. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I went for a long walk to clear my head and ended up at this park where we used to have picnics together. I sat there for about 2 hours, just thinking about how fast everything had fallen apart between us. My phone kept buzzing with messages from Jessica. Hope you're okay. Don't wait up. Having such a great time. Each message felt like she was twisting the knife a little deeper. The next day she tried to tell me about her date. Some story about how funny this guy was and how he took her to this amazing new restaurant. I couldn't bear to hear it, so I just got up and left the room. She followed me, looking genuinely confused. I thought you were okay with this, she said, sounding actually surprised. You said you were fine with it. Yeah, well, maybe I'm not, I finally admitted. But you could be dating too, she replied, as if that solved everything. You're choosing to stay home and be miserable. That's when I realized she really didn't get it. She couldn't understand that I didn't want to date other people. I wanted her, the old her, the one who used to love our boring, normal life together. By this point, it had been 3 weeks since she started this whole open relationship thing. 3 weeks of watching her get dressed up for other guys. 3 weeks of lying awake wondering where she was, what she was doing, and who she was with. 3 weeks of feeling like I was losing my mind a little more each day. I honestly thought she'd eventually snap out of it, realize how ridiculous this whole thing was, and understand what she was throwing away. But she didn't. There was no hesitation, no guilt. She was actually proud of it. She walked around like she had unlocked some higher level of dating, like she'd figured out something the rest of us were too dumb to understand. And the worst part? I couldn't wrap my head around why. She had seemed happy with me, so why burn it all down? Why act like what we had wasn't enough? That's when it finally clicked for me. There was no fixing this, no coming back. It was over in a way that couldn't be undone. And for the first time, I wasn't even sure I cared anymore. The thought of her out there living it up without a care in the world while I was stuck here drowning in misery, it lit something inside me. I wanted to make her regret everything, make her see exactly what she had thrown away. But that didn't mean I had a plan yet. I just knew I wasn't going to sit around suffering while she got to have all the fun. I hadn't figured out my next move, but I knew I needed to talk to someone. Someone who would actually understand how messed up this whole situation was. And that's when Olivia started coming around more often. Olivia has been Jessica's best friend since their freshman year of college. She was always around our place, for movie nights, helping us move furniture, bringing soup when one of us was sick. She's just one of those really genuine people, you know? She's a kindergarten teacher, which fits her perfectly because she has this way of making everyone feel heard and important. I never thought of Olivia as anything more than Jessica's friend. Sure, she's pretty. Long brown hair, green eyes, always smiling. But she was firmly in the friend zone in my mind. Plus, she had dated this guy Tyler for about 2 years, though they broke up a few months ago. The first time Olivia came over after Jessica started this open relationship thing, it was to borrow some mixing bowls for a birthday cake she was making. Jessica was out, surprise, surprise, with some new guy, and Olivia could tell right away that something was off with me. You look terrible, she said in that direct way she has. What's going on? I didn't mean to tell her everything, but it just came pouring out. How Jessica had sprung the open relationship idea on me, how she'd been dating different guys almost every night, how I felt like I was going crazy watching it all happen. Olivia sat there listening, actually listening, not just waiting for her turn to talk. When I finished, she shook her head. That's not an open relationship, she said firmly. That's just Jessica doing whatever she wants without caring how it affects you. Something about hearing someone else say it made me feel less insane. Olivia started coming by more often after that, usually when Jessica was out on her dates. We'd watch movies, order takeout, just hang out. It was nice having someone to talk to who knew both of us and could understand the situation from all angles. One night, about a month into Jessica's exploring, Olivia came over looking kind of nervous. She was fidgeting with her necklace, which I knew was something she did when she was anxious. I need to tell you something, she said, sitting on the other end of the couch. And it might make things weird, but I can't keep pretending. My stomach did this weird flip thing, and I think part of me knew what was coming. I've had feelings for you for a long time, she confessed, looking down at her hands. Like since before you and Jessica even got together. But you were with her, and she's my best friend, so I never said anything. I started dating Tyler hoping it would help me get over it, but she shrugged. It didn't work, I sat there trying to wrap my head around what she was saying. Olivia, kind, hilarious, drop-dead, gorgeous Olivia, had feelings for me. How did I not see that? She was the one who helped me pick out gifts for Jessica. The same Jessica who was still trying to figure out if she even wanted something serious with me. Olivia had made me homemade chicken soup when I was sick, while Jessica barely texted to check in. Had I been blind this whole time? You don't have to say anything, she added quickly. I just needed you to know. Watching Jessica treat you like this, seeing how much it's hurting you, it's been killing me. You deserve better than this. I looked at her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time. That simple green sweater somehow made her eyes glow, and her hair was up in one of those effortless, messy buns, the kind that shouldn't be attractive, but somehow made her look even better. And right then, I wondered how the hell I had never noticed before. At the same time, Jessica's actions were still burning in the back of my mind. She really thought I'd sit around waiting like some loyal idiot while she paraded around with not just one guy, but multiple men, like I was some safety net she could fall back on whenever she got bored. That was her biggest mistake. She was out there doing whatever she wanted, thinking I'd still be available when she decided to come back. Nah, for me that chapter was closed. I wasn't playing by her terms anymore. I was playing by mine. I decided to take a chance. I took a deep breath, feeling that shift, that moment where I finally took control. Olivia, I started, my voice steadier than I expected. She moved closer on the couch. I know this is complicated, she said. I know I'm probably making everything worse by telling you this. But seeing you so unhappy the past few weeks, I just couldn't stay quiet anymore. Then she leaned in and kissed me. Just like that. I should have stopped it. I should have thought about Jessica, about their friendship, about how complicated this would make everything. Instead, I kissed her back. And it wasn't just a kiss. We ended up spending the night together. It was different with Olivia. She noticed me, really was interested in me as a person. She picked up on subtle changes in my expression and asked what I was thinking, actually caring about the answer. Afterward, lying there in the dark, I let it all sink in. How far this had gone, how everything had shifted. The realization that I had just slept with my girlfriend's best friend. Something that should have felt like crossing a line. But all I could think about was how right it felt. This wasn't some meaningless rebound or impulsive mistake. She turned to me, propping herself up on her elbow, her eyes searching mine. What are we going to do? She asked, her voice quiet but steady. I exhaled, staring up at the ceiling. I should have had an answer. Should have felt guilt, conflict, something. But all I felt was relief, like I could finally breathe after weeks of suffocating in Jessica's mess. I don't know, I admitted. Olivia hesitated, then said, I don't regret it. Do you? The crazy thing? I didn't. Not even for a second. Because for the first time since this whole open relationship disaster began, I saw things clearly. I wasn't the one who ruined us. I wasn't the one who broke trust. And maybe, just maybe, I deserved someone who wanted me. Just me. Jessica's going to lose it when she finds out, I said. Probably, Olivia agreed. But isn't it funny how she thinks it's perfectly fine for her to date other people, but the idea of you doing the same would drive her crazy? She had a point. And that's when I decided maybe it was time for Jessica to get a taste of her own medicine. I didn't tell Jessica about Olivia right away. Part of me wanted to see how she'd react to little hints first. Yeah, maybe that was petty. But after watching her parade around with different guys for weeks, I figured she deserved to feel what that was like. The morning after Olivia left, Jessica came home from staying at Melissa's place. Pretty sure Melissa was actually some guy named Matthew, but whatever. She was all chatty, telling me about her girls' night while making coffee. That's when I dropped the first hint. Oh, Olivia stopped by last night, I said super casually. We had a really good talk. Jessica's hand froze on the coffee pot. Olivia was here? Yeah, we hung out for a while, I replied. She's really easy to talk to, you know? Jessica put her coffee mug down too hard, splashing some on the counter. What did you guys talk about? Just stuff, I said, shrugging. Life, relationships, feelings, it was nice. The look on her face was priceless. She spent the next hour texting someone, probably trying to get details from Olivia, while pretending to watch TV with me. I could see her glancing at me every few minutes, trying to figure out what happened. Over the next few days, I started mentioning Olivia more and more. How funny she was, how she really understood me, how we'd been texting. Each time, Jessica would get this tight look on her face, like she was trying not to react but couldn't help it. One morning, I was smiling at my phone while texting Olivia, and Jessica practically jumped across the couch to see what I was looking at. "Who are you texting?" she asked, trying to sound casual and failing completely. "Just Olivia," I said. "She's really into this new show I recommended." Jessica's face did this weird thing where she tried to smile, but looked like she was in pain instead. "You guys have been talking a lot lately." "Yeah, she's great to talk to. Really gets me, you know?" Jessica started doing this thing where she'd check my phone when I left it lying around. She thought she was being sneaky about it, but I'd catch her scrolling through my messages when she thought I was in the bathroom or kitchen. The funny thing is, I deleted any real evidence of what happened with Olivia. I just left enough normal, friendly texts to make her suspicious and drive her crazy. Then Jessica started showing up at places where she knew I'd be. Like, I'd mentioned going to grab coffee at this place near work, and suddenly she'd just happen to be there. Or I'd say I was meeting friends at a bar, and she'd show up an hour later, saying she was in the neighborhood. The best part? She started canceling her own dates. Suddenly she was home more often, wanting to watch movies or cook dinner together. It was like watching someone try to mark their territory without admitting that's what they were doing. After countless attempts to get closer, each one met with me shutting it down. She finally came right out with it. "Are you seeing someone else?" "Isn't that kind of the point of an open relationship?" I replied. "To see other people?" "Yeah, but who is it? Is it Olivia? Are you sleeping with Olivia?" I just smiled and said, "I thought we weren't supposed to share details about our other partners." "Isn't that what you said when I asked about your dates?" Jessica lost it. She started going through my Instagram followers, checking who liked my posts, analyzing every interaction I had online. She even started following Olivia's social media obsessively, reading into every post or story Olivia shared. The final blow came when Olivia posted a selfie in a coffee shop, the same coffee shop where I get my morning coffee. Jessica called me immediately. "Are you with Olivia right now?" she demanded. "Jessica, I'm at work." "But you always get coffee at that place in the morning. Did you meet her there?" I let her panic for a minute before saying, "That coffee shop has like 1,000 customers every day. People can go to the same coffee shop without it meaning anything." But Jessica wasn't buying it. She started asking me where I was going all the time, who I was seeing, what I was doing. The same woman who'd been coming home late from dates for weeks, who never gave me straight answers about who she was with, was suddenly demanding to know my every move. Olivia thought it was hilarious when I told her about Jessica's behavior. We'd been meeting up secretly, usually at her place where Jessica wouldn't accidentally spot us. The small amount of doubt I'd initially felt about hooking up with her was fading fast, replaced by something that felt a lot like justice. "She really can't handle not being in control, can she?" Olivia said one night while we were cuddled up on her couch. "Nope," I agreed. "And the best part is she can't even complain about it without admitting she never actually wanted an open relationship. She just wanted permission to cheat." That's when Jessica decided to change tactics. She came home one night and dropped a bomb that would change everything. "I think we should close the relationship again," she announced. I stared at Jessica as she sat there on our couch, looking all serious and concerned, telling me how she thought we should focus on us again. The same person who'd been going on dates left and right for weeks was now sitting there acting like she was doing me some huge favor. "I just think we've explored enough," she said, reaching for my hand. I pulled it away. "We could go back to how things were before, just you and me." I couldn't help but laugh. "Just you and me? Like the past few weeks never happened?" "Well, yeah," she said, looking confused by my reaction. "Isn't that what you wanted? You haven't seemed happy with the open relationship." That's when I decided it was time to stop playing games. "You're right. I haven't been happy," I admitted. Watching my girlfriend go on dates with a new guy every other night while barely acknowledging my existence. Her face did this weird thing where she tried to look sympathetic, but couldn't quite pull it off. "I know it was hard for you," she said. "But that's why I'm saying we should close things up again. We can work on us." "Work on us?" I repeated. "Like how you've been working on getting to know half the guys in this city?" "That's not fair," she said, getting defensive. "You agreed to the open relationship. You could have been dating too." "Oh, I have been," I said, watching her face carefully. "I've been seeing someone." Jessica went pale, like actually pale. "What? Who?" Then she quickly added, "Does it matter? Isn't that what you wanted? Both of us exploring and having new experiences?" She jumped up from the couch. "Of course it matters. Who the hell is it?" Her voice rose with each word. "Is it Olivia? It's Olivia, isn't it?" I just sat there, letting her spiral. She started pacing around our living room, running her hands through her hair. It is Olivia, isn't it? She continued, her voice getting higher. That's why you've been talking about her so much. That's why she's been avoiding my calls. My best friend? Really? Funny how you're allowed to sleep with whoever you want, but the moment I do the same, it's a problem, I pointed out. But it's Olivia, she screamed. She's my best friend. You can't sleep with my best friend. Actually, I said, standing up, I can, and I did. Jessica stopped pacing. She stared at me like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. What did you just say? I slept with Olivia, multiple times, actually. I held her gaze. And you know what? It was great. She actually cares about my feelings, which is more than I can say for you lately. You're lying, Jessica said, her voice shaking. Olivia would never do that to me. Really? Because she did, I countered. Want to know what else? She's had feelings for me for years. Even when she was dating Tyler, she was thinking about me. You're making this up to hurt me, Jessica said, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. I'm not. Remember last Thursday when you were out with that startup guy? Olivia came over, we talked for hours. Then we slept together. She sees me as a person, not just some backup plan waiting at home while you live your best life. Jessica grabbed her phone, probably to call Olivia. I don't believe you. Olivia would never... Check your text with her, I said. Notice how she's been kind of distant lately? Not really responding to your messages? She scrolled through her phone frantically, probably seeing all the unanswered messages and short replies from Olivia in a new light. This can't be happening, she muttered. This isn't how this was supposed to go. Oh, really? How was it supposed to go? I asked. You get to have fun with other guys while I sit at home being the loyal boyfriend? Did you really think I wouldn't eventually meet someone else? But not Olivia, she yelled. Anyone but Olivia! You knew this would hurt me! I lost it at that point. Hurt you? What about how much you've been hurting me? Watching you get dressed up for other guys, coming home late smelling like someone else's cologne, barely even looking at me anymore. Did you ever think about how that felt? That was different, she tried to argue. Those guys didn't mean anything. So that makes it better? I shot back. The fact that you were just having meaningless hookups while I actually developed real feelings for someone? I had intended to just throw some hints here and there, to let her feel a fraction of the pain she'd caused me, but she kept pushing. She stopped, staring at me. Real feelings? Yeah, real feelings, I confirmed. Olivia and I, it's not just physical. We talk, we laugh. We actually care about each other. When was the last time you and I had a real conversation that wasn't about your dates or your new experiences? Jessica sat back down on the couch, looking defeated. So what are you saying? You want to be with Olivia now? I'm saying this open relationship thing showed me what I really want, I explained. And it's not someone who treats me like an afterthought. She started crying then. Big, dramatic sobs that probably would have worked on me a month ago. But all I could think about was how she hadn't shed a single tear over how much she'd been hurting me all this time. We can fix this, she said between sobs. We can go back to how things were. I shook my head. No, we can't. Because now I know what it feels like to be with someone who actually values me, and I'm not settling for less than that anymore. That's when Jessica did something I never expected. She grabbed her keys and stormed out, saying she was going to Olivia's place to sort this out once and for all. The moment Jessica slammed the door, I grabbed my phone to warn Olivia. When I told her Jessica was heading her way, she just calmly said, "Let her come." Olivia's always been the composed one. Nothing seems to shake her. Still, I offered to come over for support. No, Olivia said firmly. I need to handle this myself. She's been my best friend for 10 years. I owe her that much. I spent the next hour pacing around our apartment, checking my phone every 2 minutes. The place felt weird, like when you know a storm is coming and the air gets all heavy with anticipation. Finally, Olivia called. Her voice was shaky. She showed up screaming, Olivia said, like my neighbors probably heard everything. She kept yelling about how I betrayed her, how I'm a terrible friend, how I'd been plotting this all along. What did you say? I asked. I told her the truth, Olivia replied. That I've had feelings for you for years but never acted on them because she was my friend. That watching her treat you like garbage these past weeks made me realize she never deserved either of us. That what happened between us wasn't planned, but I don't regret it. Apparently, Jessica didn't take that well at all. She tried to push past Olivia into her apartment, saying she needed to see for herself if I was there. When Olivia blocked the door, Jessica accused her of hiding me inside. She's completely lost it, Olivia told me. She started listing all these random times we hung out, trying to prove we'd been sneaking around behind her back for months. She even brought up that time last year when you helped me move my couch. You know, when she was too busy with work to help. Jessica had apparently convinced herself that every interaction Olivia and I ever had was some secret sign of an affair. The time Olivia brought me soup when I had the flu? Obviously a cover for hooking up. The group movie nights at our place? Just an excuse to make eyes at each other across the room. Then she started crying, Olivia continued. Like sliding down my doorframe crying, saying she never meant for any of this to happen. My neighbor came out to check if everything was okay. It was mortifying. Jessica finally left after Olivia's neighbor, Mrs. Chen, threatened to call the police about the noise, but not before telling Olivia that she'd ruined everything and that she'd never forgive her. About 20 minutes after my call with Olivia ended, Jessica came back to our place. She looked terrible. Mascara streaked down her face, eyes red and puffy. She walked in, saw me on the phone, I was texting Olivia updates, and just lost it completely. "Are you texting her right now?" she demanded. "Planning your next meetup? How long have you two been laughing at me behind my back?" "Nobody's laughing at you, Jessica," I said calmly. "You did this to yourself." "I didn't do anything!" she screamed, throwing her purse across the room. "I suggested an open relationship to make us stronger. I didn't tell you to go sleep with my best friend." "No, you just wanted permission to sleep with whoever you wanted while keeping me as your backup plan," I replied. She started grabbing things, pictures of us, gifts I'd given her, and throwing them into a box. "I'm going to stay at Melissa's, my real friend. Someone who wouldn't stab me in the back." "Fine by me," I said. That made her pause. "That's it? You're not even going to try to stop me?" "Why would I? You've made it pretty clear what matters to you, and it's not me or this relationship." She stopped packing and sat on the couch, suddenly looking really small and defeated. I thought you'd always be there," she said quietly. "That no matter who else I dated, you'd be waiting when I was ready to settle down." And there it was, the truth finally coming out. I wasn't her partner. I was her safety net, her backup plan, her guaranteed happy ending while she went out and explored. "Well, you thought wrong," I told her firmly. "I'm not some puppy waiting faithfully by the door while you're out having fun. I'm a person with feelings, and I deserve better than being your second choice." "But you weren't my second choice! I love you!" she cried. "No, Jessica, you love having me around when it's convenient," I replied. "There's a difference." She started crying again, but this time I didn't feel anything. No urge to comfort her, no guilt, nothing. Just emptiness. "I'll come get the rest of my stuff tomorrow," she said finally, picking up her box. "I can't be here right now." After she left, I called Olivia. Just hearing her voice made me feel calmer. We talked for hours that night about Jessica, about us, about what happens next. Olivia mentioned that some of their mutual friends were already taking sides, with most of them calling her a backstabber without even knowing the whole story. "I don't care," she said. "They can think what they want. I know what's real." I looked around my half-empty apartment, at the spaces where Jessica's things used to be, and realized I felt relieved, like I could finally breathe again. I told Olivia to come over and stay with me, and she agreed. At that point, I didn't care about appearances anymore. The next morning, Jessica came to get the rest of her stuff. She brought Melissa and 2 other friends I didn't know well. They gave me these nasty looks while helping her pack, like I was the bad guy in all this. Jessica had obviously told them her version of events. The one where I was the villain who cheated on her with her best friend, conveniently leaving out the part where she was the one who wanted to open the relationship in the first place. "Your Xbox is mine," she said, unplugging it. "I bought it for your birthday." "Fine, take it," I said. I was beyond caring about material possessions at that point. Olivia showed up halfway through the packing session. She hadn't planned to come, but I texted her saying I needed coffee, and she read between the lines. Jessica's friends started whispering when Olivia walked in, but Olivia just ignored them and handed me my coffee. "Really? You're just going to flaunt this in my face?" Jessica snapped. "Nobody's flaunting anything," Olivia said calmly. "I'm just here to support my boyfriend." It was the first time either of us had used that word, and Jessica looked like she'd been slapped across the face. The packing went faster after that. Jessica's friends kept rushing around grabbing things, probably trying to get her out of there before she had another meltdown. When they finished, Jessica stood in the doorway for a minute. "I really loved you," she said softly. "No," I replied. "You loved having me available whenever you wanted me. There's a difference." After they left, Olivia helped me clean up the mess they'd made. "You okay?" she asked, watching me toss Jessica's leftover things in a donation box. "Yeah, for the first time in months, I really am." That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, Life's been different. Better. Olivia and I are taking things slow, doing it right. We got coffee at her favorite spot last weekend and ran into some of Jessica's friends. They ignored us completely. Olivia just squeezed my hand and smiled. Jessica's still telling people her side of the story. How I cheated, how Olivia betrayed her, how we secretly wanted each other the whole time. Some people believe her. The ones who matter don't. Yesterday, Olivia brought over a bunch of her kindergarten students' artwork to decorate my fridge. "Too empty," she said. Looking at those crayon drawings, I realized something. This is what I want. Someone who notices the little things, who cares about making my space feel warmer, who shows up with coffee just because I didn't reply to her text. Instead of mindlessly scrolling on my phone while we hang out, I helped Olivia grade papers for her class while we watched that new mystery show she loves. Simple, normal, real. Looking back, I'm almost grateful Jessica suggested that open relationship, not because it was a good idea, it absolutely wasn't, but because it showed me what I really wanted in a partner. Someone who chooses me first, not just when it's convenient. That's the thing about life. Sometimes the worst decisions lead to the best places, or in my case, to the right person who was there all along. Life has a funny way of working out sometimes.